I would say a few words about my father and why I believe this weekend is so important. But don't worry, unlike Lionel, I won't go on all night long. At 41 years old, Prince William has lived his whole life under a microscope. The cameras haven't stopped following him since he was born. He was the tiny kid dressed in a sailor outfit, the adolescent who marched behind his mother's funeral, and the young royal groom who married his university girlfriend in front of the world. Every grin, handshake, and quiet was examined. But underneath all of that regal polish, something deeper was slowly developing, a reality many sensed, but he never confessed. Until now, in a rare moment of candor, Prince William has finally revealed what it takes to live a life like his. It's not simply the titles, ceremonies, and constant public appearances. It's the personal sacrifices, emotional toll, and silent anguish that never go away. What he has disclosed is not only surprising, but also incredibly human. Why now? Why has Prince William finally chosen to reveal the truth that he has kept hidden for so long? The answer lies in all he's been through lately, from Kate's heroic cancer struggle to the growing estrangement between him and his brother Harry. This is the story of a prince emerging out of the shadows and finally speaking from his heart. It was not a news conference, it was hardly a huge regal declaration. It happened softly, with a few well-selected words that were more powerful than any formal statement. During a recent appearance, Prince William did not make a headline. He delivered the truth, and with that, he verified what millions had silently thought for years, that underneath the polished veneer was a man under enormous pressure, quietly bearing the burden of duty while yearning for something far simpler: serenity, purpose, and a private life. He discussed what it meant to wear a role that was never chosen, but rather inherited. For decades, he had smiled for the cameras, waited in line at royal rituals, and fulfilled every expectation of him. But today, as the weight of the crown grows heavier, William admits that being the future king is a burden that has taxed him in ways few will ever comprehend. He explained how the last year had changed everything: Kate's illness, his children's queries, and the vacant chair at family dinners compelled him to examine within. For the first time, he freely discussed the silent tiredness that comes with constantly having to be tough. Not only for his wife and children, but for the whole institution. There were no dramas, there is no anger, just a guy stepping out from behind the regal mask saying, "This life isn't easy, but I do it every day for them." At that point, William wasn't only the successor to the throne, he was a parent, a spouse, and a guy who had been silent for too long. This was the start of something different. A prince who is no longer hiding behind duty, but rather lives truthfully. Long before he was a spouse or a father, Prince William was a little child, trying to make sense of a vast world. The cameras followed him from the minute he was born, behind the royal walls and public smiles. His boyhood was far from ordinary. His mother, Princess Diana, tried to provide him and his brother Harry with typical life experiences such as fast food outings, hospital visits, and days at amusement parks, but nothing could totally shelter them from the weight of their royal blood. Then came the moment that altered everything. Diana was killed in an automobile accident in Paris in August 1997. William was just 15. He was losing more than just his mother. He was also losing the one person who had protected him from the harsh realities of royal life. When he walked behind her coffin during the funeral procession, the world saw a youngster transformed into an adult overnight. The sadness was awful. The cameras did not stop rolling, and William, only a youngster, had to cry in front of millions. In the years that followed, he rarely mentioned it, but when he eventually did, he revealed that he had been in shock for a long period. That moment altered not just his worldview, but also the man he would become. It made him cautious. It made him protective. Above all, It motivated him to give his own children what he never had, the opportunity to grow up outside of the limelight. Diana's absence continues to have an impact on William's life, her heritage, her goodness, her pain. He carries it all. This is why his current admission seems so strong, because before he was a prince, he was simply a son. A boy is behind the title, a youngster who is still missing his mother. In early 2024, the image of a robust and cheerful royal couple was abruptly disturbed. As Kate, the poised and exquisite future queen, has had significant stomach surgery. Initially, details were scarce. However, weeks later, the palace acknowledged what many feared. Kate had been diagnosed with cancer. The news shocked the public, but behind closed doors, Prince William was quietly keeping everything together. While the world was preoccupied with Kate's rehabilitation, few noted the toll it had on her husband. William was now wearing many hats: prince, caretaker, father, and emotional anchor. In public, he stayed cool and composed. In secret, he was helping their children through the most terrifying period of their young lives. Bedtime procedures did not end. Homework still needs assistance, but everything was now done in the shadow of fear. William did not make spectacular declarations. He did not weep on camera. Instead, he stood silently at Kate's side, providing quiet strength when it was needed most. When she took a leave of absence from public life to receive treatment, William became the family's face. Every function he attended and every speech he gave was delivered with a secret weight behind his eyes. During the Earthshot Prize Awards later that year, he provided a quick update. His pleasure in Kate's fortitude was palpable, but so was his tiredness. This was a guy torn between duty and affection. Nevertheless, he never wavered. When Kate finished her chemotherapy in September 2024, she felt relieved, but it also highlighted how much William had been through behind the scenes. He wasn't only helping his ill spouse, he was waging his own silent struggle against dread, exhaustion, and the never-ending aspirations of becoming a future monarch. This was hardly the royal fantasy that the public expected. It was real life, and William faced it with calm courage. They were once inseparable, two princes strolling behind their mother's coffin, bound by sorrow. However, as time passed, that link weakened. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their departure from royal responsibilities in 2020, it was more than simply a public adjustment. The hurt was profoundly personal for Prince William. The world watched headlines and interviews, but many people overlooked the emotional cost. William lost not just a business partner in the royal family, but also his brother's intimacy. And for someone who was already dealing with the sorrow of loss, this gap wound much worse. The two brothers, once bound by anguish, now stood on opposing sides of the regal institution. William has rarely talked publicly about the split, but his silence hides a mix of pain and obligation. As the oldest brother and successor to the throne, he is bound by an institution that values unity, decorum, and quiet. But underlying that, he's a guy witnessing his family disintegrate in ways he never imagined. While Harry shared his troubles publicly, William kept them hidden. He remained at the center of a monarchy under siege, tasked to maintain the image while dealing with his own family's anguish. Every missed call, every unanswered message increased the gap. Nonetheless, William continues onward, not out of coldness, but because his position requires it. The obligation he did not pick now stands between him and his brother, whom he once trusted with everything. This is more than simply a royal quarrel, it's a quiet heartbreak. Two brothers separated not by hatred, but by the weight of diverging paths. Prince William has always been seen as the steady one, the dependable heir, the calm leader waiting in the wings. But beneath that calm appearance lies a man who has endured more than most people would ever face. Public anguish, private heartbreak, unwavering devotion, and a life fashioned by demands he never asked for. At 41, he is no longer merely preparing to become king. He bears the expense of that future every day. From his mother's death to his brother's departure, from his wife's health problems to his children's need for normalcy, William bears it all, and he still turns up. Not with loud announcements or theatrical movements, but with calm determination. He has evolved into a leader fashioned by grief, founded on love, and motivated by purpose. But the issue is, at what cost? What does it take to maintain a crown while still protecting a family? For William, the answer is simple: everything, because ultimately, his greatest strength is not his title. It's his capacity to continue marching ahead, no matter how heavy the crown seems, and that is the one who will become king.